and then it dies.
Nope, my name's not Donny. I'm the lawnmower lady, and I like fixing small engines. This Stihl backpack blower here is a pig to start, I might add. The guy who owns it has never done any maintenance on it whatsoever, and after about 5 minutes, it completely bogs down and dies out pretty fast. So I'm suspecting valves might need adjusting, so I'm going to show you how I do that right now. The spark arrestor screen, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that looks pretty clean to me. I don't think there's any buildup on that at all. And checking inside the fuel tank, the tank is very clean. I can't pull it all the way out because it's not long enough to test, but I don't suspect that that's going to be a fuel delivery issue. I'm going to take this back panel off right here. This is a T27, and these are a very coarse thread going into plastic. And there are two more way deep up inside of there. Okay, so I'm going to have to use a T-handle for that, I think, because I can't really get up in there. And the thing I failed to mention early in the video is that anytime you do a valve adjustment on any engine, not just a Stihl 4 mix, but anything, needs to be done on a cold engine, as in overnight cold. Next is to remove the recoil. And I think I can get in there. These are a different type of screw. These have a really fine thread because these are going into the metal casing. There you go. Those three screws. This pops off of here. Look on the inside. It's in good shape. This pops straight off the top. There are these rubber boots that fit on top of these two guys sticking up right there. The next thing to come off are these two screws right here. It's going to pull off this air baffle. And this is actually a third type of screw. These have sort of a medium thread, not the really fine thread. Stuck to that magnet right there. And it does actually help to take these guys off of here. And then you peel this back from here. That little keeper there. Then this gives us access to the valve cover at this point. So in order to make it easier to position the flywheel, I'm going to remove the spark plug. You can either use a 5/8 inch socket or a 16 millimeter magnetic. I prefer the magnetic sockets. If you also have, some of these guys come with a wrench. Take these guys off of there. All right. And the spark plug looks all right to me. If anything, it might be running a little bit lean. And that's what maybe I suspect the problem is once these things get heated up. The valve cover pops off. Again, another T27. I'm going to use just a T-handle for that. I don't want to put a lot of strain on there. And when you take this guy off of here, sometimes you want to hang on to that little copper crush washer right here. You usually should replace stuff like this, but this will probably be all right. You can buy a kit for these that come with the gasket, and you want to make sure, I'll post a link to the part for this one here. As I rotate the flywheel, you can see the valves moving in and out, and I'll show you how to find top dead center here. Well, there's a couple of ways to find top dead center. One of them is to just easily stick a screwdriver in there. We're going to rotate the piston. As you can see, the screwdriver comes up. It's the highest point, and then it goes back down again. So that's one way. And you want to make sure that you're on the compression stroke. And the way to determine if you're on the compression stroke is once you get it at that top dead center point, jiggle the flywheel. If you see the valves moving, you need to go one complete rotation more to get back to that top dead center. Use the screwdriver just to double check and make sure we're in the right spot. Yep, up. There's a little bit of dwell point where it is right there. All right, that's top dead center. I'm going to jiggle the flywheel, and you'll notice that the valves are not moving as I'm jiggling that flywheel. The other way is if you see where the edge of the laminates are sticking out of the coil right there, where the magnet passes over those, if you line this edge right up with the edge of that, you find that in the owner's manual. That also is top dead center. And there is a pretty significant amount of play on both of these guys. This is the intake. There's a whole lot more there than there is here. And let me show you what I do. Now, according to Stihl, the spec for this is 0.004 inches or 0.10 millimeters. And unfortunately, because of the design of these guys, you can take a set of them and cut them out. I've done this for points and condenser on some old Lambrettas, but this is not even small enough because if you look very closely, now for lack of a better word, there's these little hips that are sticking off of here. So Stihl makes a special set of little feeler gauges that you buy. It includes the gasket and another crush washer. And if you don't want to buy that, the next best thing, and I wish I knew who told me this, is a soda pop or a beer can. And I'm going to use, this happens to be a can of Rolling Rock. All right. Soda pop or beer can happens to be 0.040 inches. I get this set up for you. So this 0.04, I'll show you where this is on the gauge. As you can see, it is just at 0.004 inches. I've cut this down a little bit. Soda pop can is the same 0.04 inches. So I'm going to keep cutting this guy down because he has to be very, very thin to fit in there. I think that'll do it. This is sharp as the dickens. And the bad thing with aluminum feeler gauges is you can only use them a couple of times. They're just really going to get mashed out pretty easily because it's so soft. All right, and now with our little Rolling Rock gauge, you notice that fits right in there. And there's a whole lot of slop and play in there. There's nothing tightened on that at all. So this is an 8 millimeter wrench. And we're going to very gently tighten that down. You can see there's not a lot. Looking for a little bit of drag on that guy. It's a little loose. Now you see it's got a sort of got a hold of that. And that's going to be just a little bit too tight. All right, loosen it up just a hair. And that does sort of slide in and out, but I think the exhaust valve is good. Move this over to the intake. It is way sloppy. I have no idea what it really is, but just keep tightening this down. Still too loose. Nope, still too loose. There we go. There's a little bit of drag on that now. Another minute. And that is too tight. And if you saw how little I moved that, but that's just a smidge too tight. There we go. Just a touch of drag. There we go. I'm going to rotate the valves Couple of rotations there. One more time. Back at top dead center. Double check. That's good. And that's good right there. All right, so we're going to button this up. See if this fixes the problem. All right, we're going to replace the valve cover. We were very careful. The actual gasket is not damaged. And don't forget about that crush washer. It really only goes on one way. Snug that up. Not too tight. Go ahead and put our spark plug back in. Start that by hand. Once that's snug, no more than 1/4 of a turn to tighten him up. So that was like an 1/8. That's fine. Going to replace the little air diverter there. And remember, these are the semi-coarse threads. Going to set these ignition wires back behind these 2 tabs. Drop it in that slot. Bottom screw is right there. Again, I haven't tightened the top one until I get them all in, or both, pardon me. That one's snug, and that one is snug. And then our 2 ignition coil connectors, they sort of only go on one way. There's a short one and a long one, and they're also different size tabs. Make sure those get on. All right, here's the fiddly part. You want to make sure that the control wires haven't popped in. They sort of sit in a little groove inside of there. Remember, we have to get these 2 grommets to fit on top of these little posts sticking up. Not only do these have to fit on top of there, but this has to slide inside of here. I'm going to start with the very coarse threads. Get the cover back on. I can put the spark plug boot back on at this point. These, you really have to sort of stand on your head. Screaming at me. And lastly, the recoil starter. You really can't strip these out, so just be careful. All right, so take this out and see if this fixes the bogging down problem after it's been running for about 5 minutes. All right, I'm going to let it idle here for about 5 minutes and see how that works. It was easier to start this time. All right, so it's been idling for about 2 or 3 minutes now. See how it's doing. far so good. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. Okay, this has been idling / running for a good 10 minutes. I've run it a couple of times and it is starting to falter a little bit. It's not completely dying out. Run for a little bit. Slows down, but it doesn't completely die. So give it a little more fuel. Soak it off a bit. I can say that the valve adjustment helped dramatically with starting and running. I think now it's just maybe check the intake screen in the carburetor, and while I'm there, I'll go ahead and replace the fuel filter. So you can't win them all. Although this blower desperately needed a valve adjustment, it did not fix the problem completely. It's a lot easier to start, and now it goes about 10 minutes before it starts bogging down. I've already ordered the parts for a new carb rebuild kit and a new fuel filter, and I will be making another video when those parts come in. If you like this video, please push the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel out a whole lot. When I do that video, it's going to be posted right here, but in the meantime, you can watch this video right here of another handheld blower and how this problem wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be either. Thanks for watching. Mow happy.